When I started my own business, I knew that if I didn't make this work, then I'm not going to have anything.
For all the entrepreneurs out there, the beginning is always the scariest. Because like you said, you don't have a backup plan. You don't know what you're going to do if this fails. And then that's why you literally put everything in to make sure that this is going to work.
If you know you want to do something so badly, there's definitely always a way. I think there's a real stigma around business and what business is all about. You're going to be your own boss. You're going to do your own hours. It's so like this pretty picture, but actually it's not. There's always going to be something that goes wrong. There's always going to be a challenge.
There will always be challenges. But without the challenges, we can never grow. We can never expand. Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to the Confident Alchemist podcast, where bold women take the brave leap to build businesses and lives that they deserve. I'm Debbie, and today I'll have someone with me whose story is going to completely shatter the myth that you need money, qualifications, or a perfect plan to build something extraordinary. I'm here with Shineal Labuschagne, the founder of a cookie business named after her grandmother. And her journey is one of the most raw, real, and relatable entrepreneurial stories I've heard in a long time. Shineal didn't set out to become a baker. She studied animal health at UNISA, dreaming of becoming a veterinarian. But life had different plans. When her practicals became so demanding that she had to quit her full-time job, she needed income fast. The only thing she knew how to do, thanks to years of helping her grandmother in the catering business, was to bake. So she started. Not with a business plan, not with investors, not with a commercial kitchen. She started with an 800 Rand mixer in a garage and a determination to survive. What happened next is nothing short of remarkable. Shineal funded her equipment by collecting payments from orders before she even had the tools to fulfill them. She survived on a 5,000 Rand salary while building her business from the ground up. She moved from a garage to a warehouse, grew the team to 6, and built a brand so unique and community-focused that her cookies have now become something people genuinely fall in love with. But Shineal's story isn't about just cookies. It's about a young woman who grew up without financial support, who took an unexpected path, and who's now building something that she hopes will inspire our young people to believe that success is possible regardless where you come from or how much you have. As someone who also started with very little and had to figure it along the way, I'm deeply moved by Shineal's resourcefulness, her resilience, and her heart for community. This is a story about what's possible when you refuse to let circumstances define your ceiling. Shineal, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Shineal, you studied animal health and wanted to become a vet. That's as far as possible from baking you can get. But when your practicals force you to quit your job, you turn to your grandmother's kitchen's wisdom to survive. Take me back to that moment when you realized baking wasn't just paying your bills, it was actually your calling. How did you go from, I need to make money, to, this is what I'm meant to do?
It's kind of ironic if you think about it, because I started my animal health journey because I thought it was my life's calling. I wanted to become a vet. I wanted to work in the animal industry. And when I had no other choice but to quit my job and started to bake for a living, I realized that my days spent at my practicals turned into very much of an irritation for me because I wanted to go back to my kitchen and finish the orders I had. And that was basically where I realized, I'm not enjoying the animal health as much as I enjoy baking now. And it's so weird because looking back, I was really unhappy and I couldn't figure out why until I found my passion in actually not only baking, but actually building my own business as well and being an entrepreneur. So that was something that changed my mindset and that shift for me.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. Like you said, you were unhappy and you didn't know why.
Yeah.
But as soon as you actually, took the leap of faith and go into your passion, you became happy.
Yeah, that is exactly how it happened.
You start with the 800 Rand mixer and a strategy that most business schools will never teach. You collected payment from orders before you even had the equipment to fulfill the orders. You literally funded your business one cupcake pan at a time. How did you develop this resourcefulness? And for young entrepreneurs listening who think they need money to start, what does your beginning teach them about finding a way where there seems to be no way?
So I definitely think my resourcefulness started long before I even had my business. I didn't have much to fall back on. I really had that where if I had a problem, I had to sort it out myself. I even got myself my own bursary. I got myself into the university as well. I didn't have much of guidance growing up, so I had to figure it out along the way. And when I started my own business, it was basically, it felt like I was in survival mode. I knew that if I didn't make this work, then I'm not going to have anything. I'm not going to finish my studies, and I'm also not going to, do anything, basically. So I think what took me through all of those years, or all of those
Startup moments.
startup moments, is the survival of, I didn't want to fail, and I knew I couldn't fail. So it's definitely, if you know you want to do something so badly, there's definitely always a way to get there. Yes.
And like I said, I'm so proud of you that fear didn't stop you. Because like you said, even for all the entrepreneurs out there, the beginning is always the scariest. Because like you said, you don't have a backup plan. You don't know what you're going to do if this fails. And then that's why you literally put everything in to make sure that this is going to work.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
You've been very honest about one of your most challenging weeks in your entrepreneurial journey. Your oven broke, your mixer broke, your aircon people didn't show up, your cookies didn't set. And all of this happened in the same week. And then, if that wasn't enough, 5 or 6 of your staff members went on a strike and walked out. How did you hold it together? And what did that experience teach you about resilience and the reality of building a business with people?
Yeah. So, to be quite honest, it felt like I didn't have it all together. It really comes to that point where I felt, okay, this is the end of the road for me. I can't continue. But at the end of the day, I think there's a real stigma around business and what business is all about. They teach you, you're going to be your own boss. You're going to do your own hours. It's so like this pretty picture, but actually it's not. And I realized that with everything that happened, it's going to happen always. There's always going to be something that goes wrong. There's always going to be a challenge. There's always going to be stuff like that happening. And I just feel like, imagine if the business was 10 times bigger than it was now. And that happened to all 10 shops. If, I wouldn't have handled that. But now it happened. So if it does happen now to 10 shops, I know what to do. So at the end of the day, everything that happens, you have to learn from it and evolve. And it also helps you make better decisions in the future, even regarding hiring people in your business as well, because people can make or break your business. And it's definitely something that really taught me a few valuable lessons. And if that hasn't happened, I would have made the same mistakes over and over again.
Yeah, and that's exactly that. You have to build that resilience, because there will always be challenges. But without the challenges, we can never grow, we can never expand. So yes, I also still in my 4 businesses, I still embrace all the challenges because it helps me grow.
The bigger your business gets, the more trouble you have. It's just going to get a bit easier to handle it.
Exactly. Beautiful. What makes a cookie business so special isn't just about the product. It's the personality. You've built a brand that's fun, community focused and deeply personal. Your cookies are still handmade despite of moving to a warehouse. And every interaction with your customers reflects your unique voice. How did you develop this brand identity? And how do you maintain that homemade personal feel as you continue to grow?
From the start, I started making TikTok videos whilst I was baking, in my house, in my own kitchen. I felt very uncomfortable doing that, but I felt like it was so nice to involve people in my day-to-day operations and including them. I also knew that by making these videos, people can hear my story.
Yes.
And they can actually learn from where it came from and why I'm doing this. And I feel like from there, that basically built the community I have at this stage, because most of them know exactly where I started and what I do, and what's the story behind Ouma Bets. So that makes it quite special. And we always try, especially now that we're growing, we try to include the community as much as possible by still including them by the progress of how the bakery grows. While we continue growing, how's that going to affect, I even share everything that breaks. I share, when something went wrong, I share that, because at the end of the day, people want to relate to you.
Exactly.
They don't always want the pretty picture. They also want to feel invested in something that you are sharing. And they also, maybe that happened to them as well, and they felt like they were alone in that. And it happens to everyone.
Yeah, no, that's a beautiful story. And like say, you've got your unique voice that you're going to keep on bringing forth, because people buy people, and people want to be invested in your journey as well. And that's why they'll always support you.
Yeah.
You said that what drives you is the promise of independence and the dream of being there for your family. But you've also said that's really moved me, that you want to show honor young people, especially those who didn't grow financial support, that it is possible to build something from nothing. What's your vision for your business in the next 5 years? And what's the most important message you want to send to young people who are watching your journey?
So I would definitely say in the next 5 years, I'd love to open up a few new stores in a few areas. I have my list of important places to start, because I've heard people telling me, please come this side. So that's definitely where I want to move. And also just have a bit of a more structured way of doing business at this stage, and especially when starting, it can feel a bit deurmekaar.
Yes.
I kind of want that in the next 5 years, it has to be in such a way where everything has its place and everything moves according how it should. And if I have to give other young entrepreneurs advice, it would definitely not be just to quit your job like I get it. Don't just quit your job and start from, but definitely, like, you don't have to feel stuck. It can all work out at the end of the day. There's an Afrikaans saying, waar daar wil is, is daar weg.
Beautiful.
So you can definitely achieve anything. Don't ever let anyone tell you can't do something, because that's also not true. Like the way I started, I didn't have anything. I didn't have any investments. I didn't have any financial support at that stage. So you can definitely start a business with what you have, even while still working. You can definitely, while you work, start it as a side hustle and move up from there. But you don't have to have this big fancy business plan to start your business. It just starts from your heart, and you learn as you go. You won't ever know everything from the start.
Yeah, exactly. Shineal, thank you for being so honest and open about your journey. And your story is proof that you don't need a perfect plan to start building something beautiful. You just need the courage to begin with what you have, where you are. Here's what strikes me about Shineal's approach. She didn't wait for the right conditions. She didn't wait for enough money, enough equipment, or enough experience. She started with an 800 Rand mixer, and she figured out the rest along the way. 4 powerful lessons from this conversation. First, your unexpected detour might be your actual destination. Shineal's path to cookies came through animal health and a grandmother's kitchen, not a culinary school or a business degree. Second, Resourcefulness beats resources every time. Shineal didn't have money to start. She had creativity, determination, and the willingness to collect payments before she even had the tools to deliver. Third, the hardest season builds the strongest foundation. That week when everything broke, when a staff walked out, those moments didn't destroy her business. They made her a better leader, a strong entrepreneur, and a more resilient human being. Fourth, your story is your most powerful marketing tool. Shineal's grandmother's name on her brand, a community-focused personality, a commitment to handmade quality. These aren't just business decisions. They are authentic expressions of who she is, and that authenticity is what makes people fall in love with her cookies. If you are sitting with a skill, a passion, that you've been dismissing as not enough to build a business, remember Shineal's story. You don't need more than what you have right now. You just need the courage to start. Send me a message and tell me about a skill or a passion that you've been underestimating. What could you build if you start with exactly what you have right now? Remember what Shineal showed us today, that success isn't about where you start. It's about refusing to stop. It's about rolling the balls, stuffing the fillings, and showing up every single day, even when the oven breaks or the staff walks out. Your empire must start with an 800 Rand mixer. The question is, are you brave enough to plug it in? Thank you for listening, beautiful souls. See you next week for another dose of truth, boldness, and transformation.